Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here to share with you how to make meat pie. And if you're interested in how I came up with this beautiful recipe, please keep watching. I'll first start off by adding 6 cups of all-purpose flour to my bowl, and I'll follow that with 1/4 cup of sugar just to add a little sweet to our pie. And I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. I'm also adding 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I'll also be adding a teaspoon of nutmeg to just add some flavor to our pie. I'm going to mix all of the dry ingredients very well, and I will be adding some butter to the flour mix. For butter, I have 3 sticks of butter that I just cut up into smaller cubes, or you can go with 1.5 cups of butter if you are not working with a stick. And I allow the butter to be a little bit at room temperature, not in between like that, so that the mixing process won't be too hard for me to have it incorporated within the flour, if that makes sense. So you see, as you can see, I just work it in the flour with my hands, and this is the consistency that I have here. After mixing in the butter, adding 2 large eggs that I just squeezed, and I'll just pour it in, and I'll be using plain water today instead of milk. So for water, I'm first adding 1 cup of plain water. I will try mixing it up, and as you can see, a little bit as gentle as possible, because when you're mixing meat pie dough, it's almost like when you're mixing a shortbread or dough. You don't want to overwork the dough, if that makes sense. So after mixing it for a few minutes, I noticed that the dough was still a little bit dry, so I added 1/4 cup of plain water, and I was able to do the work. So I'm just mixing it up really well. Then after using a utensil there, I will just go in with my hand. Please excuse the flour on my hand. I'm sorry. When I was doing the editing before, I noticed that. So as you can see, I'm not really overworking the dough. I'm just being as gentle as possible. And after a few minutes, I'll just put it aside and allow the dough to rest. I choose to work with the dough first because I want the dough to rest. While the dough will be resting, then I will be working with the filling for the pie. As you can see, this is the consistency that we want here. Okay, so for the filling, I will be using 1 large potato. I just peeled it and cut it up into small cubes, and I will be placing this in the water that is already boiling on the stove. And after placing it in a pot, I will add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I will just cover it up and allow it to cook. Okay, I won't really allow it to cook till you can get munchy like that, something that the toothpick can just pass through. So when the potato got cooked, I just rinse it out with cold water to quit the cooking process. I just set that aside. So for the meat, I'll be working with 1 pound of ground beef. I'm just breaking it up. After breaking it up, I will be adding 1/2 diced onion to it, and we'll be adding some seasoning. So for the potato, if you are not a big fan of potato, you can use mixed vegetable, or you could just use plain beef. You don't have to add anything extra, but I'm telling you, this recipe came out so good. So if you won't mind, you can just go exactly with the recipe if you won't mind putting potato. But if you're not a big fan of potato, you can skip it. So for seasoning, I'm using 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of bouillon chicken seasoning, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of rosemary. That's what I use for seasoning. And here we go. I'm adding almost a tablespoon of tomato paste. Why? I just felt that the meat was too pale to me, so it was too pale and pinking. So I just thought of putting a little bit of tomato paste to just change that color, but again, it's optional. I'm just going to mix in all the ingredients, cover it up to cook in the fat of the meat for about 10 minutes, and here we are. After 10 minutes, I'm adding half a cup of water, and I will cover it up on a low heat and allow it to cook. Okay, after cooking, and I will be right back. As you can see, I allow it to cook till all the water got dry. When the water got dry, there was too much fat from the meat, so I extracted the extra fat. After extracting it, I just put the potato that was already cooked, and I put a little bit of cornstarch to just, you know, take in the feeding so that it don't be too scattered, if that makes sense. So what I added there was a tablespoon of homemade pepper sauce. If you are not big fan of spice, just ignore the pepper sauce that I added there because it was already tasting good. I just needed an extra heat. That's why I added the tablespoon of pepper sauce. Okay, so this is it. I'm just going to set it aside and let it cool while I'm working on the pie. So this is it. As you can see how soft this is. If your dough is not really soft, it will be really hard for you to work with it. So I will encourage you to please go with the recipe that I showed you earlier. Okay, so I just flattened it, and I will be using my cookie cutter to cut in so that I can be able to have as even size of pie as possible, or you can use whatever cooking utensil you have at home. So yeah, this is it. Just want to thank you all for your support. We almost at 1,000 subscribers. I know it's been a while. It's been a long journey, but we're getting there, you know, little by little. Thank you all for your comment. Thank you all for your support. So as you can see, I just cut everything up, and this is the finished product. Okay, and this is the filling I will be putting in the dough. This is the baking sheet, and I will use that to spray in the baking sheet. So that's just what I'm doing right now. So yeah, what I'm doing, I just pick up one of the dough, flatten it a little bit more, not that much. You don't want your dough to be too thin. Okay, so yeah, I'm just adding as much filling as possible. As you can see, I'm sealing up the ends with my finger first. After doing that, then I will use the eating fork to seal up that end well, and I will just continue that. I will show you the finished product. Okay, yeah, I hope it makes sense. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, please. So as you can see, this is the finished product. I was able to get 15 or 16 pies from the 6 cups of flour, and they are really good size. So right now I'm just going to polish it with some egg whites, or I shouldn't say egg whites. I just to add some shine, nothing extra. You don't even have to do this, just to add some shine to the pie, that's all. So after adding the flour, the egg, I will be baking the meat pie for around, I bake it for around 30 to 40 minutes, and here we are. This is it. It's done. It came out so good. I'm telling you, give it a try. Please, if you won't mind, leave a comment. Please hit the notification button so that whenever I upload new content, you will be able to be notified. And please subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.